Hey everybody, welcome back to Simply Holy, a practical guide for living the open-handed life every day. And this is Monday. It's the second day of the week. So we are in our Sabbath Living series, and I'm chronicling every single day, just giving you my experience with what happens on those days as I've been experimenting with this idea of Sabbath living. And this is really interesting. I feel like I'm keeping a video log of my life. But so it's Monday morning. It's the second day of the week, as I said. And I'm just going to go back and recap a little bit. So on Saturday, basically sundown from Friday till it went on, and it kind of goes on. That's the thing I haven't figured out yet, is that my Sabbath, I don't always end it like the really... the Orthodox Jews do. You know, they end it with a certain ceremony on Saturdays. So I haven't figured that out yet exactly. We do that about half the time. But sometimes we kind of kick off the Sabbath on Friday dinner. We always do that. And then, you know, I have my Sabbath day that day, and then on Saturday night I have a date with Jay. So it sometimes just sort of flows in, and it doesn't feel like it's any different. And then, but that, when I go out on a date with Jay, that's when the first day of the week starts. So it's an interesting concept that at sundown on Saturday, when the Sabbath is over, the first thing that I do is I go on a date with my husband. So it's a really reprioritizing thing. And then the next thing I do when I wake up on Sunday is I go to church and worship with all the saints. Okay. Which I talked about yesterday. So then I went through all that, went to church, it was great, came home, took a nap, got up somewhere around 3, and, you know, sort of, I don't know, piddled around, or tried to wake up a little bit. And by 5 o'clock, we were sort of set doing our family stuff, and I was finishing up preparing for this morning. So my day, my first day of the week, ended yesterday at about 5 o'clock, and the second day began. My second day, Monday, really began yesterday at 5 o'clock when I started planning for today and started going over what was going to happen today with my family. So by the time you get to Monday morning, it doesn't feel like, oh, you know, now back to the grind, or there's this, you know, now here's the first day of the week. It doesn't feel like that to me anymore. And I was thinking about two things that have changed for me since I started Sabbath living. And one is the concept that is what I was just talking about, where that I think from night to day, and it changes the way that I feel. Like today, thinking, oh, this is the second day of the week, one day is already gone. That's very different. And I'm experimenting right now with resetting my mind once, you know, about 5 o'clock comes. And I guess that's the time where people will be getting off work, and maybe you can experiment with this too, but you're sort of regrouping for the next day. And I start picturing now my next day has begun. I'm even experimenting with trying to have a prayer time during that time, is sort of like a reverse quiet, not a reverse, but another quiet time of some sort. Not that it has to look exactly like what I did in the morning, but I'm just trying to think that way to get my mind to think like God. And then the other thing that's changed for me is I've started to think in sevens, I guess is what you would call it, in a larger format, a 7-day format. So all of my days are a part of a bigger scheme, a bigger thing that's going on, which is living in anticipation of the Sabbath. There's a goal. The Sabbath is coming, and it gives me a framework in which to live my life. And so how am I feeling this morning? Actually, how I'm feeling is very rested. I feel very rested. I feel like grateful. I was thinking about how this is so different from how I used to feel on a Monday, but it's just because God has trained me over the past couple of years and taught me how to feel and how to think, I guess, about time. That's what all this really, one of the biggest lessons for me is that God has been teaching me how to think about time. Time has always been elusive to me. Never enough time to do the things that I want to do. I've never been able to accept the 24-hour day and all that, you know. So anyway, but that's how I'm feeling. Now, the sins that can creep in for me, the things that can than really hurt me is I'm the kind of person that would take on Monday, like, okay, let's go. Like yesterday I was recharged. Okay, let's go. And I have two lofty goals for myself. And, sort of the whole concept that Rome wasn't built in a day and the world wasn't created in a day. I have to always remember that. I want to get something done. I'm the kind of person that'll work on a project, and you have kids like this too. They start a project, they don't want to stop until it's done. They just want to do one thing at a time. I have one kid, he just wants to do one thing at a time. And I'm like, okay, but you can't, we're not going to learn all this subject in one day. Come on, we got to space it out. But anyway, going over creation has really been teaching me how to work through that. And that's a helpful thing you can do with your kids is teach them, God didn't do everything in one day. And I wanted to read what God did today. So we know that yesterday he separated the light. He said, let there be light, separated the darkness from the light. And that's what we're doing when we go to church. That's what we're doing on that first day of the week is we're resetting like, oh yes, there's light and there's darkness. I'm going to live in the light. I'm going to walk in the light. 1 John 1, that whole concept of walking in the light. And then, so the second day, it says, and God said, let there be an expanse between the waters to separate water from water. So God made the expanse and separated water under the expanse from the water above it. And it was so. God called the expanse sky, and there was evening, and there was morning the second day. Now, this could be a rabbit hole for you if you ever want to investigate this stuff. This is just really cool stuff that people have studied about all the scientific evidence for everything, because this is when you start to get like all the scientists going crazy with what is he talking about, separating the waters and all the evidence that's for that. And it's fun. It's pretty fun if you have that time, whatever. If you're ever studying that with your family, then you can look at it. I had never studied it before until a few years ago. I had never really given this account that much time because it was so confusing to me, but I really got into it and started thinking about things. Creation.com is really helpful to me, Answers in Genesis. That has been helpful to me just to hear what creation scientists are saying. I knew very well what evolutionary scientists were saying because I had been taught that so much, but I hadn't heard the other side, so it's been cool to go back and forth and just learn about that. But that is not our lesson for today. My point with this is I think about, okay, so what am I doing with this second day of the week? And this is when I picture, I go, okay, well, God really started separating the heavens from the earth. He separated the sky out, and land hasn't appeared yet, but we start to get this idea that things are going on here on the earth. And I was thinking about how this is on Mondays is when I really start to I come from my light and darkness separation, and I go, okay, what needs to be managed around here? What do I need to do on this earth? What is God trying to get me to do? On Mondays, honestly, I still am really reminiscing about the Sabbath and thinking about how awesome it was. I'm feeling very rested, and I'm ready to learn. And I think this is a concept that all of us need to employ. Now, of course, I spend a lot of time teaching. I am a mom that stays home and I homeschool my kids. Yes, but that learning is not just for people like that. Learning is what we're doing every single day. God put Adam and Eve in the garden and he gave them things to do. Name the animals. Work the garden, subdue it, take care of it, bring it under your submission. This is why we are so drawn to these things. We're drawn to lawns that look beautiful, gorgeous gardens. That takes work. People out there cutting and digging, and if you're not a gardener, don't think that it's going to be that fun the first time you try, because it's a lot of hard work. I'm just saying there's a lot of work that goes into it, but it's actually what God intended. He didn't intend for us to live, to lay around. He intended for us to work and to learn and to grow. You're always learning about the things. They studied the stars, before there were so many distractions in life. They would study the stars. They knew more about the stars back closer to Adam's time than probably you and I do today, because they spent all this time discovering and learning. And when you look at life that way, Monday's not a drag because you're like, oh, I can't wait to see what we're going to study today. I can't wait to see what we're learning today. What am I learning today? And you can do this if you're single and going to work. This should be how you are looking at your job, I would hope. I want anybody who's working for me to be showing up thinking, what can I learn today? It's so awesome. If you're working with children, then you've got plenty to learn today. You got plenty to learn today. If you are if you're working in an office, if you're working, that means, obviously you chose what you're doing because it interested you. And so what are you learning about your job today? I tell you, any employer is looking for somebody who is excited about learning more about their job today. That's what we were created for. We are created to figure out all the cool things about this earth. We are not created to live the life separated from this earth where nothing's affecting us and all we're thinking about is, heavenly things. Yes, I'm going to set my mind on the things above, but I'm going to enjoy the creation. We were meant to enjoy the creation, the food that was created, the beauty that was created, all the cool stuff about science, all the cool stuff about math, honestly, which is the language of the universe, and God created it. I mean, I don't get it, but I can see how it's mind-boggling and amazing in every single way. And what about history, and what about just cool stuff? Even makeup or fashion or whatever you're into, it's kind of cool. So enjoy. Today is meant to be enjoyed. We can enjoy today if you set your mind to learn today and stop thinking about what you don't have and start focusing on what you do have. Let it go. Let go the rest that you didn't get. Let go the life that you don't want. Let it go and enjoy the life that has been given. Okay, that was just, I don't know where that came from, but that's how I think about Mondays. And there's a video on YouTube going around, or on Facebook, I think, right now, and it's talking about, this guy's talking about how, get over yourself. This guy's not a Christian or anything. He's just like, get over yourself. Life is meant to be lived. Quit griping about Mondays. So I like this guy. Anyway, so today I'm thinking about what is all the stuff I need to do to take care of the garden. And I'm purposefully teaching myself to enjoy that process. Before the fall, they were still doing all this stuff. That's before the fall. They weren't thinking of it as work. And they were thinking of it as fun. So as you're looking at your day today, you have to be thinking about, what is God going to teach me? And I'm always resetting every single day thinking, okay, now there's a lot of stuff. Of course, I have a lot of stuff on my agenda to get done today, which is, as you know, as my Simply Holy following, that may or may not get done that day. I'm not God who says this is what I'm going to do. It's interesting he did this one thing, but I have an idea of what needs to be done, and then I submit that to God. Okay, God, this is what I was thinking for today, but I know you may rearrange it. I may have a sick kid. I may not feel well. Something in our house may break. We may not have any, we may have plumbing issues today. There's a lot of things that could come up, but I do have, I am pointed in a direction. I do have a plan for the day that came from preparation last week and sitting down and having my quiet time today. Making this video is a part of what I was thinking is going to get it done today, and look, it's happening, so we'll see. This is really just a very practical guide for how to do the second day of the week. I want to give you an assignment. I want you to write down all the stuff that would have to be completed before the Sabbath. If you were to really do the Sabbath, like, I'm really going to take 24 hours off. Just start there, 24 hours. If I was really to take 24 hours off, that would mean that what would actually have to be done between sundown on Friday and sundown on Saturday? Like, what is all the stuff that you've normally been doing that day? I'm not including like soccer, taekwondo, all that kind of stuff. That they're, sort of the recreational kind of stuff. I'm talking about what's the work that would have to be done. What are the all the categories? Just get it, brain dump. That's what I call it. I just dump my brain onto a piece of paper. All the house cleaning, the laundry, the shopping, the emails, the work, the school, even the groups that you lead for church, every single thing, what would have to be done. Get it all down on a sheet of paper. Okay, and then, and I want you to start, after that, then start categorizing it, like, oh, this is house stuff, this is school stuff, this is whatever, work stuff, blah, blah, blah. And you can start writing it down in sections after that. But just get it down on paper so you can get it out of your brain. And then you're going to think about a couple of things. One is you're going to ask yourself this question: is this more than is humanly possible in 6 days? That's the first question. Is this more than is humanly possible? And take a real look at it. Now, God is going to do miraculous things. So we're kind of always going to feel like, yeah, this is more than humanly possible. But is it really? If it really truly is more than is humanly possible in a week, God may have a major change coming for you. So you need to really consider that and open your mind. I have to say that I really made huge progress in this area just recently when I completely opened my mind to, okay, God, I'm still thinking too much. Because see, I'll cut back and then it's still too much. I cut back, it's still too much. I cut back, and it's still too much. It's interesting what he makes time for. He always makes time for Simply Holy. That's funny to me. That always seems to come in to the picture. He makes time for certain things, not others, so I've had to learn to cut back. My expectation of others has really gone down because I've realized it was too high, and whatever. But he may have a major change coming for you. Or, and here's the second question, or are you just undisciplined with your time? Are you just undisciplined in the area of making things happen? You may just not have a plan at all. You may live, I'm going to fly by the seat of my pants every single day. You can't do that. Just so you know, that thing that worked for you in high school when you had parents that were planning everything for you, or when you had somebody else planning, those days are over. Those were the days, as I would say. Those days are over. You are going to have to become disciplined in how you organize your time. And whether you consider yourself an organized person or not is irrelevant. You're already organizing your life around something. And if you are not organizing your life around God and the way that He wants you to live, you're organizing it around yourself. So you're going to have to get over that and decide, okay, God, teach me. Teach me how to be disciplined. Look up every scripture that you can on the disciplined life and start praying that God will teach you how to organize your life. So, are you just undisciplined? Is that what needs to be submitted to God? It's because there's people like me who are on the too rigid side. Like God has taken this past couple of years to, I don't know, chip away at me, smush me a little bit to go, it's going to be okay if it don't work out your way. Okay, so there's the your way people, where it comes out, we're all your way people, by the way. We're all my way people. There's some people that manifests itself in a very rigid schedule, very controlling. It has to be this way. And there's some of us who try to say, oh, it's whatever, it's all up to God and fate and whatever. Like I'm but really you just don't want to be disciplined. So either way is a my way person, but God is trying to pull you to his discipline. Even He broke up the week. This day was this day was this day was this day was this. Right now he's pulling the heavens away from the earth. So even He only did, He had certain days that He was going to accomplish certain things. So if you want to be like God, then you'll organize your life like that. Okay. And then my final thing for this is decide to fast from your most time-consuming activity this week until you get this list done. So you need to make this list, and you're going to think, I don't even have time to make the list. Then stop looking at Facebook. Number one, there's a week off. Just no Facebook. Number two, TV. Maybe that's what takes most of your time. If you are a reader and you're reading, if that's take away whatever time-consuming activity you have, the most time-consuming activity, until you get this assignment done. And then finally, at the end of the day, and this is something I'm trying to teach myself to do. I'm not good at this, but this is just a good idea that God gave me. I'm trying to get good at. But, at the end of every single day, once he made everything, it says, and there was evening, and there was morning. The second day, I'm sorry. Look at that. Look at what was created, and go, okay, that was good. That was my day. That was my evening. That was my morning. It's good. It's done. And accept what was done that day. Look at it. Be okay with it. Write it down. Write down what was done that day, because most of us have internally what wasn't done. I have a running list at all times. What wasn't done, what wasn't done, what wasn't done. And that is a slow leak of hope. Hope deferred makes the heart sick. And if you allow your last thoughts to be of what didn't get done, you will always have that hope deferred feeling. So you can write down what was done. Now you're going to have what wasn't done. I'm assuming that that's already going to be there, and if it needs to go on the next day, it can go on the next day. But focus your thoughts. Whatever's true, whatever's noble, whatever's right. We're gonna 4-8 it. We're gonna look at everything that was done, and we're gonna think about those things. We're gonna think about what was done on that day, and we're gonna glory in it. We're gonna say, "Thank you, God, for that." God doesn't owe us. We are not entitled to anything. We gratefully accept what he allowed to happen that day, because he is the maker, he is the creator, and we're the created. We always need to constantly be right-sizing our relationship with him to go, man, I'm lucky. I feel blessed. I feel lucky to have gotten done what got done today. I feel lucky to have the blessings of today. Right now, it's just a few minutes before 7. I'm getting ready to go wake up my kids, but I have been recounting, this morning already, even as I was in the shower. Thank you for hot water and all of these products, the soap and the shampoo and all this stuff that I get to use every day. Thank you for my hairdryer. Thank you for my bathroom. Thank you for my phone that I get to listen to sermons on. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And we need to start our day with that as we're waking up. And we also need to end it, whether that means when we're going to sleep, or whether that means as we're going into the evening. So Monday night, I know this is a weird way to think, is actually starting the third day. Now, this is something that is going to be helpful to you later for those of you that have things that go on in the evening. Like I know on every other Monday I teach a violin group class, and it's been a question to me and my husband for a long time, should I be doing that? Should I not be doing? You know how you have those things, you're like, I love it, I hate it, it's too much, it's great. I go back and forth. But it's something that I have every other Monday, as I have this Monday class. And so if I'm thinking about it as if it's a part of the second day, that makes the second day a really long time. But if I'm thinking about it as it's going on the third day, it's a really interesting mind flip. So I don't want to put too much on you at this point. This is like trying to explain to somebody, that hasn't had kids yet. This is what it's going to feel like when you have kids. There's no way you can fully explain it, or, somebody that's entering into trying to switch over to homeschooling. It's like your brain can explode after about 1 hour conversation for that. So I don't want to blow anybody's brain, but it's just a thought for later. So that was Monday. It's the second day of the week, and I will talk to you on Tuesday.